Daniel Rosen had built his fortune from nothing. At 36, he was the founder and CEO of Meridian Tech, a software company valued at over $800 million. He had offices in New York, Tel Aviv, and London. He had been featured on the covers of Forbes and Wired. He had everything a man could want, except the one thing money couldn't buy. Then he met Amara. Amara Johnson was a pediatric surgeon at Mount Sinai Hospital, dedicated to saving children's lives with steady hands and a compassionate heart. She had grown up in Baltimore, the daughter of a schoolteacher and a postal worker, and had earned every degree and accolade through sheer determination. She was brilliant, kind, and beautiful, and when Daniel first saw her at a charity gala, he forgot how to breathe. They dated for a year, falling deeper in love with each passing month. Daniel had never felt so certain about anything in his life. Amara challenged him, grounded him, made him want to be a better man, and so on a warm evening in Central Park, he got down on one knee and asked her to be his wife. She said yes. Daniel had never been happier, but he knew that happiness would be tested, because he still hadn't told his mother. Ruth Rosen was a formidable woman. She had raised Daniel alone after his father died, working 2 jobs to send him to good schools, sacrificing everything so he could have opportunities she never had. She was fiercely proud of her Jewish heritage and had always made it clear that she expected Daniel to marry a Jewish woman from a respectable family. Daniel had put off the conversation for months, telling himself he was waiting for the right moment. But there was no right moment for this. He knew how his mother would react. He just didn't know how bad it would be. Daniel drove to his mother's apartment in Brooklyn on a Sunday afternoon, his stomach churning with anxiety. Ruth greeted him at the door with her usual warmth, ushering him inside and immediately offering food, brisket, kugel, the dishes she had made for him since childhood.
"You look thin,"
she said, studying his face. "You're working too hard. Sit, eat." Daniel sat at the kitchen table, but he couldn't eat. His throat was too tight. "Mom, I need to tell you something." Ruth paused, a serving spoon in her hand. She must have heard something in his voice, because her expression shifted from maternal concern to guarded alertness. "What is it?" "I'm engaged." For a moment, Ruth's face lit up with joy. "Engaged? Daniel, that's wonderful. Who is she? Do I know her family? When do I meet her?" "Her name is Amara. Amara Johnson. She's a surgeon at Mount Sinai." "Johnson." Ruth's smile faltered. "That's not a Jewish name." "No, it isn't. She's not Jewish, Mom." The silence that followed was deafening. Ruth set down the spoon slowly, deliberately, as if she needed to control every movement to keep from exploding. "Not Jewish," she repeated. "What is she then?" Daniel took a breath. "She's black. Her family is from Baltimore. Her mother is Baptist." Ruth's face went white, then red. Her hands gripped the edge of the counter. "No," she said. "Mom, no, absolutely not. I won't allow it." Daniel felt a flash of anger. "I'm 36 years old. I'm not asking for permission." "Then why are you here?" Ruth's voice rose. "To inform me, to tell me you're throwing away everything, your heritage, your family, your future, for some woman I've never met. I came here because I love you, and I want you to be part of my life, part of our life." Daniel stood, trying to stay calm. "Amara is an incredible woman. She's kind, intelligent, successful. She saves children's lives every day. If you would just meet her, meet her." Ruth laughed bitterly. "So she can charm me, so I can pretend that this is acceptable." She shook her head. "Your father would be spinning in his grave. Don't bring Dad into this." "Why not? He raised you to honor your traditions, to carry on the family name. And now you want to marry a black woman who isn't even Jewish." Ruth's eyes filled with tears. "What about your children, Daniel? What will they be? They won't be Jewish. They won't be accepted by our community. They'll be caught between 2 worlds, belonging to neither." Daniel felt the words like blows, but he held his ground. "My children will be loved," he said quietly. "That's what matters. Love." Ruth spat the word. "Love doesn't pay the bills. Love doesn't protect you from a world that will judge you, reject you, tear you apart. Maybe not, but hate doesn't either." Daniel picked up his coat. "I'm marrying Amara, Mom. With or without your blessing, I hope you'll come to the wedding. But if you can't accept her, then you're choosing to lose me." He walked out, closing the door behind him. The following weeks were agony. Ruth called Daniel repeatedly, leaving messages that alternated between pleading and fury. She mobilized relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, to call him and express their concern, their disappointment, their conviction that he was making a terrible mistake. Daniel stopped answering the phone. Amara saw the toll it was taking on him. She held him at night when he couldn't sleep, listened when he needed to talk, gave him space when he needed silence. She never once suggested that he abandon his family or his heritage. She only asked that he not abandon himself. "I knew this would be hard," she told him one evening. "I knew your mother might not accept me, but I need to know that you're sure that you won't wake up one day and regret choosing me over them." Daniel took her hands. "I'm not choosing you over them. I'm choosing love over fear. There's a difference, is there? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're losing your family. I'm losing their approval. That's not the same as losing them." He kissed her forehead. "My mother is stubborn, but she's not cruel. She's scared. She's spent her whole life holding on to traditions, because they were the only things that survived, the pogroms, the Holocaust, generations of persecution. When she looks at me marrying outside the faith, she sees extinction, she sees forgetting. And what do you see? I see evolution. I see two cultures coming together instead of staying apart. I see children who will know both heritages and be stronger for it." He smiled sadly. "I just wish she could see it too." 1 month before the wedding, Ruth made her move. She contacted the rabbi who was supposed to officiate, a family friend who had known Daniel since his bar mitzvah, and told him that the bride was not Jewish and had no intention of converting. The rabbi, uncomfortable with the situation, withdrew from the ceremony. She called the caterer, who was providing kosher food, and told them the event was cancelled. She called the venue, a historic synagogue that had agreed to host the reception, and informed them that the couple was not welcome. Daniel discovered the sabotage 3 weeks before the wedding, when vendors began calling to confirm cancellations he had never made. He sat in his office, staring at his phone, feeling a rage he had never known. He called his mother. "How could you?" he demanded. "How could you do this?" Ruth's voice was calm. "I did what I had to do. You'll thank me someday." "Thank you. You've humiliated me. You've humiliated Mara. You've tried to destroy the most important day of our lives. I'm trying to save you from a mistake. The only mistake I ever made was thinking you would eventually come around." Daniel's voice broke. "I'm done, Mom. Do you understand? I'm done. You're not welcome at the wedding. You're not welcome in my life. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a mother anymore." He hung up before she could respond. Amara found him that night, sitting alone in their apartment, staring at nothing. She sat beside him and took his hand without speaking. "I don't know how to do this," Daniel said finally. "I don't know how to get married without my mother there. I don't know how to be happy when my family is tearing itself apart." "Then maybe we shouldn't get married," Amara said quietly. Daniel looked at her sharply. "What? Not forever, just not yet. If you need time to heal this rift, to try again with your mother, I'll wait. I don't want to be the reason you lose your family. You're not the reason. She is, maybe, but you're the one who has to live with it." Amara's eyes were filled with love and pain. "I grew up without a father. He left when I was 3, and I spent my whole childhood wondering what I did wrong. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to spend our marriage wondering if you should have tried harder." Daniel was silent for a long moment. Then he reached out and cupped her face in his hands. "My mother made her choice," he said. "She chose prejudice over love. That's not on me, and it's not on you. I will always wish it were different, but I won't let her veto my happiness, and I won't let you sacrifice yours." He kissed her gently. "We're getting married, Amara, whatever it takes." They found a new officiant, a judge who was a friend of Amara's family. They found a new venue, a beautiful garden in Connecticut. They found a new caterer who could accommodate both kosher and traditional Southern dishes. And 3 weeks later, surrounded by friends and Amara's family, they exchanged vows under a chuppah, covered in white roses. Daniel's side of the aisle was nearly empty, but he didn't look at the empty seats. He looked at his bride. 6 months after the wedding, Ruth showed up at Daniel's office unannounced. His assistant buzzed him nervously. "Sir, your mother is here. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important." Daniel's first instinct was to refuse, but something made him pause. "Send her in." Ruth entered slowly, looking older than he remembered. She was impeccably dressed, as always, but her face was drawn, her eyes red-rimmed. She stopped in the middle of the office, clutching her purse like a shield. I didn't think you would see me, she said. I almost didn't. Ruth nodded, accepting the rebuke. I deserve that. I deserve worse. Daniel said nothing. He waited. I've spent the last 6 months alone, Ruth continued, her voice trembling, alone in that apartment, looking at pictures of you as a baby, as a boy, as a man, remembering how hard I worked to give you a good life. And realizing that I destroyed everything because I was too proud, too scared, too stuck in my ways to see what was in front of me. She took a shaky breath. Your cousin Rebecca came to see me last week. She showed me pictures from your wedding, and I saw your face, Daniel. I saw how happy you were, how in love. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I should have been there. I should have been the one standing next to you, watching you build your future. Instead, I was home alone, convincing myself I was right. Daniel felt his own eyes sting, but he kept his voice steady. You tried to destroy my wedding. You tried to destroy my marriage before it even started. I know, and I will never forgive myself for that. Ruth stepped closer. But I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I'm here to ask for a chance to meet Amara, to apologize to her face, to try to understand what you see in her that I was too blind to see. Why now? Because I'm 71 years old, and I've lost my only son. Because I've spent my whole life protecting traditions that mean nothing if they cost me my family. Because I was wrong, Daniel. I was so wrong, and I'm terrified that I'll die without ever making it right. Daniel studied his mother's face, the face that had watched over him his entire life, that had sacrificed everything for him, that had loved him fiercely, even when that love took the wrong form. He saw her pride, but he also saw her pain. He saw her fear, but he also saw her hope. I'll talk to Amara, he said finally, but I'm not making any promises. She's the one you hurt the most. If she's not ready to meet you, I won't force her. I understand. Ruth wiped her eyes. Thank you. She turned to leave, then stopped. Daniel, I watched those wedding photos for hours. Your bride is beautiful, and you, I've never seen you look like that. So at peace. She managed a small, sad smile. Maybe you were right. Maybe love is enough. She left before he could respond. That night, Daniel told Amara about the visit. She listened without interrupting, her expression thoughtful. What do you want to do? She asked when he finished. I want you to meet her, but only if you're ready. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. I'll meet her, not because she deserves it, but because you do. Because you've been carrying this pain for too long, and I can see it weighing on you. She took his hand. But I need her to understand something. I'm not auditioning for her approval. I'm your wife. I'm going to be the mother of your children. She can either be part of our family, or she can watch from the outside. That's her choice. I'll make sure she understands. The meeting happened the following Sunday, at Daniel and Amara's home. Ruth arrived with flowers, white roses, like the ones from the wedding. She shook Amara's hand, and looked her in the eye, and said, I'm sorry, I was cruel and wrong, and I hope someday you can forgive me. Amara nodded once. We'll see. It wasn't warmth, but it was a start. Over the following months, Ruth made an effort, awkward, imperfect, but genuine. She came to dinners and asked Amara about her work. She listened to stories about Amara's family, and shared stories about her own. She brought old photo albums and showed Amara pictures of Daniel as a child, and Amara showed her pictures of her own childhood in Baltimore. It wasn't easy. There were uncomfortable silences and missteps, and moments when old wounds flared. But slowly, carefully, they built something new, not the relationship they might have had, but the one they could still make. And when Amara became pregnant with their first child, Ruth wept with joy. A grandchild, she whispered, holding Amara's hands. I was so sure I had lost this. You almost did, Amara said honestly. I know. Ruth looked at her daughter-in-law with something that might have been humility. Thank you for giving me another chance. The baby was born on a spring morning, a girl with her mother's eyes and her father's smile. They named her Rose, after Daniel's grandmother. And when Ruth held her granddaughter for the first time, she understood at last what Daniel had tried to tell her all along. Love wasn't about blood or tradition, or the color of someone's skin. It was about choosing to see someone's heart and being brave enough to let them see yours.